This Real Agriculture podcast is brought to you by Genesis Fertilizers. Nitrogen fertilizer is your farm's #1 expense. Farmers are working together through Genesis Fertilizers to solve the problem of high prices and security of supply by planning a state-of-the-art nitrogen plant. Security and earnings through ownership is the solution. Visit Genesis today at genesisfertilizers.com to learn more.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin. Welcome to Real Agriculture. Today I'm at the Ontario Agricultural Conference down in Waterloo, catching up now with Dr. Jane Fife. Jane, how are you doing?
Great, thank you, Bernard.
Awesome. Hey, now you're up from Ohio, and your PhD work, and you talked a lot about that today, in a conversation, in a presentation on soil biology and biologicals, the science. Hey, let's kick it off with a quick thought on your company, 3Bar Bio. Tell us about it.
Yeah, 3Bar Bio, we're actually a startup company based in Columbus, Ohio, and the company was founded on this idea that living microbial products, which are part of the biological products, that they need to be delivered in a more viable form. That's been a big challenge for our industry. And so we have developed technologies to help improve the production and delivery of these types of products. So that's what we work on day in and day out, is how can we improve these products so that they're more viable. And so what gets handed over to a farmer they can trust, that the microbes are at a high concentration and ready to perform in their field.
Now, biologicals, a big category, growing category, a lot to learn. Let's do a little soil biologicals 101 here. Let's talk about why use these products.
Yeah, and so when you think about biologicals as products, right, you're thinking about them kind of at a plant level as an agronomic input, right? But the bigger picture is soil health, and there's a lot of discussions going on today around soil health, and biologicals and that biological component of soil health is really important. And I start to think about this, we think about soil health at a field level, and there's certain practices we can do to improve soil health at the field level. But when you want to start to introduce a biological product into your operations, you're really thinking about it at a plant level, right? And there's big benefits there to the plant, including increased root growth, increased nutrient availability and uptake, as well as helping the plant through abiotic stresses. And abiotic stress is a big yield taker and a big problem. So these are new products that can help the plant through abiotic stress. And so you're seeing more and more interest in the use of biostimulants as well as biofertilizers to help address some of these issues.
Yeah, and that's a big, well, we're going to put up a slide here right now with all the different categories. Take us through this a little bit. There's a lot of different things on that slide.
Yeah, that's where it gets complicated, and I know as farmers out there get confused at all the different types of products. So I do like to start to kind of break it down. When you talk about the abiotic stress piece of it, these are your biostimulants and your biofertilizers, and you have products that range in complexity, but they're all derived from a natural source. And so things like organic acids, amino acids, seaweed and plant extracts, all the way to microbials. And the microbials, that's kind of the area that we work in at 3Bar Bio. These get even more complicated because you have all kinds of different microbe strains and different functions that are being provided to the plant. At the end of the day, you want to understand what your need is, and then begin to look at what types of products might meet that need.
Yeah, and in the presentation today, you actually went through a sort of like a process for farmers about how they should approach biologicals, and that was your first point. Understand your need and what you're trying to achieve. Tell us more about that.
Sure, and I can kind of give you a case study. One of the things that we experience in Ohio, and I'm sure in Canada, in Ontario as well, is there's an interest in trying to get out into the field earlier. Obviously, there's a lot of obstacles, but if you can, one of the challenges is helping that plant through, colder temperatures, wetter conditions, and actually there's biological products that can help through that abiotic stress. So that might be one area where if you wanted to try to get out there in April, say, a little bit earlier, maybe you would consider trying that, maybe on a few acres, and see if a biological could help you get over some of that early stress.
Some of those challenges.
Yeah.
You also mentioned the need to understand how the products work. There's a lot of them. You need to understand what you're working with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And that's where it gets challenging, I think, from a grower's perspective. The more information you can get talking with manufacturers, with experts in the field, the better. Going online, there's a lot of opportunities based on field trials and data to start to understand, but it is complicated, right? So it really does start with defining the need that you're trying to, or the issue you're trying to overcome in the field, and start there and see what kind of products you might be able to incorporate into your operation.
Let's talk about application. There's we can apply things in crop, foliar, with the seed.
Sure.
Every farmer's got to figure out where this fits in their operation. What are you learning about application?
Yeah, and so this is an area where you can have the best product, but unless you're delivering it appropriately. And with living products, this is one of the big challenges, because you need those the viability of the microbes, and you can lose microbes at every step along the way. Once a product leaves the manufacturer, there's a shelf life, and the microbes can decline through that period of time. When you think about application strategies, whether it's seed treatment or a liquid in furrow delivery, there's the potential for more loss of that product, particularly when you're applying them with chemistry. So you have to understand the compatibility of the microbes with anything else that you're applying them with. And one of the things that we have learned, when you think about a living microbe product, when you can get that microbe in a dry formulation, in a dry form, then that microbe gets put into a dormant state. And so it's not actively trying to do something. And that prolongs your shelf life. So what you'll see is there's a lot of products on the market that are in a dry form. And so by the time you're ready to use them, then you can either bring them back into a liquid or apply them as a dry. And one of the things that we're working on right now is looking at the benefits of applying these microbe products as a dry. Now, for a grower, using a dry formulation or a powder is a nightmare because of the issues of it going everywhere. And so one of the things that we're working on, again at 3Bar, is developing ways that improve that dry delivery.
Hold it where it needs to be.
Yeah.
Talk about yield. When it comes to biologicals, it's not all about yield.
No, that's right. Yeah, and so again, some of these products are very good, particularly bacteria are very good early season, and so they can help through some of that early season stress and allow for a very healthy stand, right? And sometimes that doesn't always translate to yield. With nutrient use efficiency, there's things there in terms of quality. You may see increases in nitrogen or phosphorus or other micronutrients because of that increased activity of the root system that a biological can provide. So it isn't all about yield, although we know that that is a driver and really a return on investment. So,
final question for you, and for farmers, how should they approach it? Should they be doing small tests, maybe tests for a period of time? What do you tell people?
Yeah, so the best place to start is, again, define the problem that you're trying to solve in your field. So take maybe a low yielding area of your operation, and then figure out what a good solution would be to that problem using a biological product. And maybe it has to do with something with nutrient use efficiency or abiotic stress. Try the product at a small scale, but do it more than 1 year. Yeah. Don't just do it 1 year. And make sure you're paying attention to details. So how you deliver it, what are the conditions going on, and then use that information moving forward to see what adjustments you might need to make.
Awesome. Well, great presentation today from Jane at the Ontario Agricultural Conference. Encourage everybody to take in the full presentation, because we're just scratching the surface here today. Thank you so much for stopping by. Thanks for taking some time for Real Agriculture.
Yeah, thanks a lot.